welcome to the podcast of Where Love Touches People. Thank you for tuning in. In this beginner's guide to segment, let's have a chat with experts on their field and gain knowledge for our life.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to our podcast, Where Love Touches People. Today, we have our guest who just came back to Indonesia, and he used to study in Brisbane doing IT.
Yep, that's it.
And he's back for good to help out with his family and also to catch up with his family. So, welcome, Andrew.
Thanks so much for having me, Philip.
Welcome back.
Doing good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. It's nice that we can talk again and catch up with you. And today's topic is about worshiping or worship.
Nice.
Yeah, are you ready for it?
Yeah.
Okay, for our listener, why we choose this topic? Because Andrew has a background in Indonesia and also when he studied in Brisbane for almost 2 years, not
Yep.
quite.
Oh, dude, just 1 year.
1 year, yeah. So he joined in our ministry in Rock Brisbane in prophetic ministry, and he also play as a guitarist, singer, and sometimes worship leading. So he got experience in this topic. So we want to ask a little bit, or a few more bit about this type of topic, worshiping.
Yep.
What is it and everything? Well, we just gonna ask him. So let's start with these questions. When did you start doing this prophetic ministry or worshiping?
Yeah. If I were to point it back to when I start, it's really interesting because I grew up in a Christian family, Christian home. We always have home fellowships, whether it's with family or with community and church members.
Yep.
When I grew up, because I grew up in Abu Dhabi,
Mm-hmm.
so we didn't we had church, but because we're Indonesian family, we always have Indonesian people over, and we arrange dinners and we
Yep.
arrange fellowships, this and that. So every 2 weeks we would gather at our house, in Abu Dhabi.
Yep.
So one day my parents were like, "Drew, go play the guitar. Play alongside that guy who was a guitarist."
Yep.
So I was how old was I? I was 10, 11 years old.
Wow,
I
that's
didn't
young.
know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to play. I just knew a few chords, but I didn't know much.
Yep.
But yeah, that was where my prophetic team ministry started. Just at home,
Wow, that's
being
good.
in a community. Yeah.
Yeah. So you start in like in a small group
Yeah.
type of fellowship.
Kind of like gym, kind of
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And also that's mean you said that your dad asked you, right? Yeah. Your dad asked you just play alongside. So,
Yeah.
so that's mean you have a basic.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you haven't played a full song just yet.
No, not really.
Yeah, but you know how to play guitar, and then your dad just throw you on the parks.
Yeah.
Throw
It's
you on the parks, saying
yeah.
just play.
Yeah.
Help this. Oh, okay, that's
Exactly.
good. Sometimes people needs that kind of push. Right? Do you agree with me?
When you learn to swim, no?
Yeah, learn to
drown-
swim or
you
learn to
drown-
do anything.
You drown first and then.
Yeah, because I noticed that a lot of people when they get asked oh, do you want to do ministry, or do you want to do this, do you want to do
Yeah.
that, they were like, oh no, I can't do it.
Yep.
Are you able to play a full song before at that time?
Maybe half a song or something.
Maybe half a song, but not confident, right?
Yeah.
But
definitely not confident. Yeah.
when you get pushed to do it, and
Yep.
then
You have
do
no
it,
choice.
and then it just happened,
Yeah.
right?
That's true.
Yeah, that's good. So, and then from there you just play more often, and then
Yeah.
join the ministry in the Abu Dhabi church.
Yeah. I just did it week in, week out, every week at my church. At first, you couldn't really hear me playing because I wasn't strumming as hard. It was I was mostly just beside on the main guitarist.
Yep.
So I'm always the second guitarist.
Mhm.
And then eventually, from there I just got confident with my guitar playing, and it's primarily in church. But then I joined like youth group in Abu Dhabi
Yep.
with like, so that was Indonesian church, right? Now this is like international church with
Yep.
ini. So yeah, from youth group also I was like pulled into it. Like my friend just, hey Andrew, just come. I know you play guitar in Indonesian church. You can definitely play, I don't know, Hillsong and play this and that. So and then that from there it just I just kept playing like every week, because the thing about in Abu Dhabi is like there is always shortage everywhere. You know,
Yeah.
okay, there's always room for you to fill in. So
Yep.
no matter how talented or how much experience you have,
Mm-hmm.
there is always room. Like lack of experience, like there is always room for you. So I think that play an important role in my growth in my guitar playing primarily, because like yeah, from there I get to have time, you know, I get to have experience.
Yep,
I
yep.
guess from there, yeah.
So you're saying that in your church you play as a second guitar,
Yeah.
and then I guess in your youth group
Yeah.
you just play as a main guitar.
Yeah, first as a
Right?
second, like we used to have two guitars. The
Yep.
setup was like a cajon,
Yep.
and
Mhm.
then two guitars and then a keyboard. So first I was second, but then eventually as I play longer and longer,
Oh, that's good.
move
So
up.
what you need is just experience. right?
Definitely,
Yeah.
and definitely people around you as well.
Yep. People who support you.
Yeah, encouraging and willing
Mm.
to teach and those kind of things. Yeah.
Yeah. And can you tell us a little bit about your experience when you're doing ministry
Yeah.
in Rock Brisbane?
Yeah. So fast forward to how I got to Rock Brisbane. It's also like super interesting how I came to even know Rock Brisbane, because I first knew Kabonar
Yep.
from Indonesia, because my youth pastor was friends with him.
Oh, I
Apparently,
see, yeah.
my youth pastor in Indonesia was friends with him. So I met him, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, this guy's a guitar player. Okay, cool." So I arrived in Brisbane. Everybody already kind of know, like, "Oh yeah, this guy is
Yeah.
this guy can play guitar, and he's been doing ministry for a while." So it's so amazing to be able to be a part of the community here in Brisbane. It's just so great, you know, like how we do everything that we can, you know, to bring the best out of us, you
Yep.
know, to bring the best out of the equipment that we have and all of this. So
Mhm.
it's definitely an amazing experience, you know. Everybody is like so encouraging to me as well. So I guess you see that in communities as you go along the way, you know, like
Yep.
the
Yeah.
people really make it. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Bonar was tagging me on Instagram.
Oh yeah.
I think on one of your church ministry in Jakarta or
Yeah,
Surabaya.
yeah. Jakarta, yeah.
Jakarta, yeah. And then it was like tagging me on Instagram and Teguh. And then it was just like, oh, here, look, soon to be Brisby Boys.
Oh okay.
And I was just like, and then there's a photo of you, Bonar and Sumi, I think, or someone else, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. And then you were holding guitar, and you were like, oh, there you go, we got a player. That's good.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, a guitar player, guys, not
Oh,
another
okay,
player,
okay.
right? But I mean, yeah. I also noticed that you said there's always a shortage in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
There's always a shortage
Everywhere.
in Brisbane too.
Oh, Brisbane
you know?
as well.
So guys, for you guys who listen to this podcast, if you feel like you wanna help out us in our ministry, you can hit me up or hit the Rock Brisbane website and say like, oh, I wanna volunteer, I wanna do something. Let's do this, guys. There's always a shortage in our ministry. We can do anything. Look at Andrew. Andrew was like inexperienced before, and now he's so amazing. Like whenever he plays, it's so good, you know? It's just not about the skill, you know? Now, this is the things that I want to bring out too. It's not just about the skill in worshiping, you know? In worshiping, even though you only have a basic skill, but if you actually want to worship
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
that's a different atmosphere in it. Do you agree
Yeah.
or not? You do, yeah. Because I'm as an audience or in the congregation sitting on the chairs and then like looking at the front with the prophetic team,
Yeah, that's so
I
true.
can feel the difference.
Yep. Yeah, it is really, really interesting when we talk about worship in contemporary church setting, right?
Yeah.
You know, you're there, you're singing, but you're not just singing, you know?
Yep.
You're there, you're playing guitar, but you're not just playing guitar. I think it comes back to like what worship means to you, like personally, you know?
Exactly.
If you categorize worship to a certain type of music or like Christian lyrics in music, you know,
Gospel music.
like
something
gospel
like that,
music, you know, and you associate that with worship, and that's your understanding. I feel like that kind of limits what it is truly, and it doesn't really reveal the heart in worship, you know.
Mhm.
But if you truly understand that, hey, worship is an attitude, and you express it through different mediums, regardless of whatever. But
Yep.
first, it's an attitude. First, it's an understanding and appreciation back to God, and the way in which we express it is, you know, there's so many different ways in which you can do that. So when you talk about worship in like church setting, so first is the mindset.
Yep.
Second, putting it into practice, you know, like when you're already at church, it's so many factors as well. So like I personally, number one for me, it's body language.
Yep.
So my pastor in Indonesia, he really emphasized this about me, because first thing when he met me is like, Andrew, you need to smile. Andrew, you need to, you know, stand up straight, because it comes back to that level of appreciation back to God. Do you bring your best or not? Like, do you slouch in front of the King of all kings? You know,
Yep,
do you
yep.
do you frown when you're in front of a figure of high level of authority? You know,
Yep.
that's the kind of that's why I kind of mention attitude there, because I really believe that kind of makes the difference for me.
Mm.
You know, you're limiting your level of expression
Yep.
and that level of appreciation back to God. I think that's what make the difference for me, and I really try to put that into practice, and I really try to share with the people around me as well.
Mm.
See, these kinds of things you don't just learn on your own. You get developed by the people around you as
Yep.
well, right?
Yep.
And I think everybody play a role to share to others as well, and that's the greatest thing about community, and the greatest thing about being in a prophetic team as well, I guess.
We support each other.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
That's so true.
And also, it's about attitude, expressions, and everything. And also, I think one more thing that is also important is the wording.
Yeah.
The wording of the song.
Yeah.
We don't just sing the song just because it's there,
Yeah.
because the worship leaders choose it,
Yeah.
right? So the wording of the songs, like what we wanna express with that sentences and the
Yeah.
song, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes people sing just because they would just want to sing it, but
Yeah.
sometimes they don't understand the lyric meanings.
Yep.
So I think it's also good for people who is doing ministry to look and read the song lyric first before
Yeah.
they actually worshiping, so that
Yep,
they can
yep.
understand each word by
Mhm.
word and what does this song wants to lead you,
Yep.
right? You agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. And what else? What else that you can share to us?
Yeah. Like earlier I said about attitude, right? You know,
Yeah.
like when you come back to like a church setting and showing again that level of expression, that level of gratitude that we want to express back to God, and praise as well. You know how like our preparation and our own time, it takes sacrifice, man, like to worship, because like if you were to express worship as how would you express worship? Like for a lot of people, expressing worship is like laying down on the ground, you know, like laying down your head down, everything down before a figure of authority, before God. You know, that takes sacrifice to go from your stature standing up to go down. That takes
showing respect.
Showing respect, you know. And putting time aside is a way of showing that level of respect. Putting time aside to, again, like you said, reading the lyrics, really, really understanding the song, putting yourself in the very moment, you know. That's also sacrifice, and that's a way of showing that respect. And I think that's really, really important as well when we talk about worship, and when we break it down to really what it is at its very core, you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow, so much information to be shared, and then also this worshiping is so much things to be shared, right?
Right.
Thank you, Andrew. I hope that you have a good day and enjoy the rest of your day. Might invite you again for another topic in this podcast.
Definitely, yeah.
Don't get bored, all right?
Thank you for listening. Our podcast releases every Wednesday at 8 a.m.
If you wanna reach us out, please do so through our email, IG, or YouTube account, which you can find through our profile.
See you next time.